Hi, I'm Sam LaPrade. Welcome to Ottawa Business Matters. We're going to talk all about business today here in Ottawa. We're going to be talking about influencing, informing, and inspiring. And someone I'm inspired by every day is Sueling Ching. Hello, Sueling.
Hi, Sam.
President and CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. It is a very big job. I tease you all the time. I don't think you sleep. When it comes to budgets, we think about budgets at our own kitchen tables. We're thinking about it at the boardroom table. You think about budgets in a very different way.
I think about government budgets.
Exactly.
Which really is our budget as well. And so, as you know, the Board of Trade or Chambers of Commerce across the world, actually, the primary reason for being is to advocate for the business community. And we do that all throughout the year. But during budget season, it's a special time for us to emphasize the things that we consider to be priorities that we think that we should be investing in from the government. So we typically would have a letter of presentation, a submission for every budget, city, provincial, and federal. And so next week we have the federal budget coming. We work with our colleagues across Ontario to prioritize how we think the government should be investing to inspire economic growth. And then, of course, next month we'll be looking at the federal budget as well.
And so important because we think about this ecosystem all the time. We talk about it all the time here on Ottawa Business Matters, how it all fits together. How important is it for businesses to have a voice in front of both our provincial politicians and our federal politicians?
Well, we think it's very important, and if we doubted it before, because it's the reason we exist, but the pandemic was a beautiful example of how government and business and community could all work together on one goal. And so we were forced, because of the urgency of the pandemic, to do that. And we were very impressed, actually, with our elected officials and decision makers at every level of government for the way that they collaborated in a very meaningful and deep way. And what we are saying is that we have to maintain that way of working as we move forward to generate greater economic growth for everyone. Businesses have the on-the-ground experience. They drive the economy. They drive community prosperity. You know, they create the jobs. They have the innovation and the solutions to some of our biggest issues. And so government really does have to understand how business works, create an environment in which they can be innovative, competitive, and make sure that we have economic growth.
Because I think most Canadians, when they're hearing a provincial budget is coming down or a federal budget, we sort of wait to see what happens. But you're just the opposite. You're thinking about it as the budget is being developed to make sure you see businesses being reflected there.
100%. Businesses in the community as a whole. So, for example, we would have submitted for the Ontario budget, which is coming out next week, a couple of months ago, but we're working with them all throughout the year, creating briefings, meeting with them about those priorities. So coming forward to next week, what we're hoping to see is that we are investing as a government, as a province and as a city, that we are investing in increasing the productivity of our communities and our province. And we think that we can do that by enabling our workforce development, by investing in infrastructure, by investing in small businesses and making sure that they have a competitive environment, and by investing in healthcare. And those are sort of the four pillars that we've identified, and we have specific recommendations under each that we think that we can move the province forward and that everybody can benefit.
It's so funny. The visual I just got in my mind is I'm driving around Canada, and obviously all the businesses in Canada, and then I'm driving around Orleans or downtown, and I'm thinking all of these business leaders would never have the time. They're focused on their business to think about all of the things happening in the budget, and that's why they're members of the Ottawa Board of Trade, because they know you're thinking about it.
Yes, they know I'm thinking about it, but we do it in partnership with our members. So we host roundtables, we have committees that work on these issues and bring them forward, develop the nuances that we can bring to the attention attention of decision makers. So we do that here in Ottawa, and then then we're able to take it to the municipal level, but also then I'm able to take that to a table with my other colleagues across Ontario when we're looking at provincial matters, for sure.
So it's a way of them having a voice without having to sort of put days aside to do this on their own, right?
So yeah, I mean, it's what's that saying? You know, the sum of the parts is greater. You know, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts,
exactly,
right?
yeah.
Exactly. So we're able to have working together an exponential impact on what that decision making is.
And when you think about the budget comes down, I think everybody sort of peeks up and says, what kind of happened? What are the big highlights out of it? You take it one step further. The next day and that afternoon when the budget's coming down, how do you spend your time?
Yeah, so we watch closely when the budget comes down, and then often we will respond to the budget, and the community will look for a hold to see, we gauge how much of what we had recommended comes out of that budget. And so we start with that, and then we continue with our campaign throughout the year to continue to move these things forward. And then in the case of the federal budget, actually, we work closely with the Ottawa Business Journal to run a series of events throughout the year. And so we have a long tradition in Ottawa of hosting a breakfast the day after the federal budget. And so we'll do that again this year as well.
Speaking of the Ottawa Business Journal, Michael Curran is on the show today, publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal. You know Michael, right?
I spend a little bit of time with Michael Curran, yes.
So I know you're joined at the hip in many ways, not only around the events, but around really advocating for businesses. When you think about Michael, give me some words on how he's contributed to this community.
Well, I may be a little biased, but I just came into this role 4 years ago, and he welcomed me warmly, and immediately I was impressed, not just with the caliber of the work that they're doing through the Ottawa Business Journal. As a private enterprise, I've always said that I feel as though it's critically important to our economic ecosystem, because it's telling stories about business leaders and what's going on in Ottawa, and always up to date on what the most pressing issues are. And so personally, he's been a very strong supporter of myself, and I'm grateful, but also of the Ottawa Board of Trade, and understanding, that by supporting the work that we do as advocates for the business community is going to be important for all of our private sector business community, and he understands and appreciates that. But what I've observed over the last 4 years is that he is the epitome of an involved, a passionate business leader. We have many in our network that we rely on, as you know, but I've been so impressed with sort of the depth and the scope of work that Michael does as a charitable, independent enterprise business leader.
He's everywhere, just like you are.
Well, he's way worse than I am.
He is everywhere for sure. And when we think about, obviously, all of the guests we have on this show, it's really an opportunity for us to highlight topical issues, where we have Heather Norris joining us today, of course, from the Ottawa Network for Education. We have Riaz Sidi joining us as well, featuring his businesses. This is an opportunity for us to really highlight and feature so many people in our community. Give us a sense of, we've been doing the show for 6, 7 sort of episodes now. Are you starting to see, how important this show is to the community?
Yeah, and to be frank, Sam, I knew it from the time that we started, which is why we embarked upon this, and I'm grateful to you and to Rogers for giving us this opportunity, because the Board of Trade is a place to develop community. It's for businesses and business leaders to develop community. We are seized with how do we promote Ottawa as a great place to live and invest and to work and to visit, but also how do we support businesses, and how do we highlight these successful businesses that we have in our city, like Riaz's city, and then who are the people of the city, right? Who are the people that are leaders, who are making decisions, who are shaping the future of the city? That is what we do as part of our work at the Board of Trade. Increasingly, though, at every table I'm at, whether we're meeting with the tech sector, whether we're meeting with elected officials, when we're meeting with the tourism sector, the concept that keeps coming up is this idea that people in Ottawa, and even outside of Ottawa, maybe don't understand the depth to which of what we have to offer here, right? As a great place to live. As a place that has unusual level of amenities and natural assets and a thriving business community. So lately we have been thinking more about how we work together with leaders like Michael and also economic partners at Ottawa Tourism and Invest Ottawa and others about how we elevate the story that we're telling about Ottawa and what the opportunities are here. And I think what's hopefully, what we're hoping is that the unique platform that this show provides gets the everyday Ottawa employee and resident to also be a part of that conversation and to develop themselves as ambassadors, to have a deeper understanding of what it is that we have to promote here in Ottawa and to become ambassadors.
I love that so much. We only have about a minute, but we know City Building event is coming up very quickly. How can people get involved at April 23rd?
Yeah, so April 23rd, and I just mentioned that was a date change because of the landing of the federal budget. This I would say is the signature event for the Board of Trade. We do many with the Ottawa Business Journal, but this is a signature event for us because, building a city and a lifestyle where people want to be is a huge part of our economic growth agenda. And we know that we need to do it in a way that is consultative, that is collaborative, and every one of us has a vested interest in how we build this city. And it means the physicality of it, it means how we support the people, how inclusive we are, how sustainable we are. And so every year we bring together sort of those hot issues and put them in a platform where anybody can be involved in that conversation.
And I know we've got an opportunity as well for young people to be involved. I mean, it really is an energizing day. We have about 30 seconds, but everyone's at the table, right?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a particular interest in involving young leaders in these kinds of conversations. And so we had been speaking with Youth Ottawa. Of course, we have a lot of 40 under 40 alumni who are involved on our committees and in this event. And so really looking for an opportunity for young leaders to have an influence on where that agenda is.
Wonderful. We look forward to it very much. Sueling Ching, of course, joining us, President and CEO of the Ottawa Board of Trade. When we come back, Heather Norris is going to be here, and I know you'll be here too. Stay with us, everyone. And we are back with Ottawa Business Matters. Thank you so much for spending time with us. I'm Sam LaPrade, and joining me is someone I've interviewed many, many times, and that is Heather Norris. Hi, Heather. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Heather, President and CEO of the Ottawa Network for Education, also referred to lovingly as ONFI. You've just done incredible work, and I think about all of the conversations we had through the pandemic, Heather, because, you had to shift your model. We talk about it being on a dime. I think it was even quicker than that. You had to really shift to ensure kids had food on the table at home where you're normally supplying that food at school.
Absolutely. I have the pleasure of working for an incredibly impactful organization. I think last year we supported close to 40,000 students in the 4 Ottawa public schools, just under 300 schools with the diverse programs that we offer. And as you mentioned, our school breakfast program, I would say when COVID hit, within the 2 weeks of the announcement of an extended school closure, we maneuvered that program to create shelf-stable school breakfast replacement kits. We partnered with 50 local community agencies, co-op houses, and other charitable organizations across the city to deliver. We served over 700,000 meals via kits during COVID.
It's really incredible. And some people tuning in go, okay, Ottawa Network for Education, Ottawa Business Matters. What's the connection with the business community? Explain that relationship. It's an important one.
Absolutely. You know, charities are businesses. We're an important part of the economic engine of our communities, and we are a strong partner working with the Ottawa Board of Trade and Ottawa Business Journal. It's a win-win for us to be partnered and be able to engage in the work that the Ottawa Board of Trade is doing. It's helpful for us as a charitable organization to understand and hear about the trends and the growing trends in our communities and in our economy, but also to have the opportunity for us to engage with the Ottawa Board of Trade, for us to make sure that our voice is also heard and counted amongst the business community. We've had an incredible partnership for a number of years now, both with OBOT and OBJ, partnering to support OMFI, and specifically a partnership with our JA Ottawa program, which teaches financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and career readiness skills to children and youth. So there's a great connection for us to be engaged, both with mentors from the business community, but also with some significant events that OBOT and OBJ run, where they've raised some significant funds to help support our JA Ottawa program.
And some of those young people, you know, 20, 30 years from now, are sitting in the chairs we're sitting in now. It's actually really, really exciting.
Absolutely. You know, ONFI has been around for close to 40 years, right? So when we have programs like JA Ottawa, that's been around for about 12 or 13 years. We've been running the school breakfast program for over 35 years. So we're engaging with members in our community who says, oh yeah, I used and accessed that program when I was in public school.
Wow. Actually, that's incredible. I love those stories. So your voice has been very strong. You have not been silent in terms of the fact that the government has to come to the table in terms of children, in terms of learning, in terms of food security. Talk to me a little bit what's on your mind right now.
Sure. Well, our school breakfast program is largely funded and supported by provincial funding, Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services. But the reality is that we're the only G7 country without a national school food program, and we have joined our partners, specifically the Coalition for Healthy School Food across the country, to advocate to encourage our current federal government to commit to a promise they made in their platform in 2019 and a commitment in 2021 to build a national school food program for Canada. And with that, they had made a commitment of $1 billion. So to fund $200 million a year for 5 years to support building this necessary infrastructure. So at this point in time, with the economy, with inflation, with the cost of food, our school breakfast program that for years served 13,500 meals every school day is now serving over 17,000 meals every school day to meet the need, which continues to grow. And we need more financial support to make this possible. We're incredibly grateful to our provincial and City of Ottawa and community funding partners and donors, but the reality is we now need to raise about $1 million each year just to try to keep pace with this program. So we need a national school food policy, not only to support the funding for the actual nutritious food, but public schools were not purpose-built for food security programs. So we need support with infrastructure. Kids need the time to be able to sit down, socialize, enjoy a healthy meal. So there's significant needs, and we're looking for the federal government to provide support and match what the provinces and municipalities and territories are already doing. So we are really hoping that we will see this funding and this commitment allocated in budget 2024.
I'm a very visual person. So as soon as you mentioned over 17,000, my mind went to the Canadian Tire Centre and standing at center ice, and every single seat would be filled, and that's what you're doing every day. I mean, that to me is just, I mean, we're Ottawa. This is Canada. This is surprising to people. I know people are watching and listening right now going, Heather, what are you talking about? How can there be that many kids?
It's a staggering statistic, and you and I have also talked in the past about how I wish this is a program we didn't have to have.
Right.
And we didn't have to offer. But our reality is different. And the other thing is, I do have to share that the program is made possible by volunteers, but also an army of teaching staff. It's principals, teachers, and volunteers in the school who are preparing and delivering food 5 days a week. And again, needing additional resourcing support to run this program, their focus should really be on teaching and the learning journey, not on food security or food insecurity in our schools. But the reality is that we believe that every student should start their day of focused learning on a full stomach.
And I often think about who's at the table, excuse the pun, of course, but who's at the table in terms of making all this happen. Is there anybody missing right now, or anybody that maybe, you know, isn't seeing the urgency here?
I think we've had some really good discussions with all political parties and all levels of government, which is great. But certainly we will embrace opportunity if people are interested in connecting with us and learning more. You know, we would encourage the public to reach out to your local councillors or MPs and MPPs and, you know, pledge your support looking for a national school food program.
Because I think about full circle. I mean, I think about, we just talked about the leaders of tomorrow are going to be taking these chairs someday, and all the chairs that we need filled. And so if we don't provide this, you know, this opportunity for them to be going through school in a healthy way, we're at the end not going to be coming out with students that feel armed and ready to be leaders.
Agreed, and we're lagging behind so many other countries that have had school food programs for years. And there's a lot of data that's come out of places like Sweden and Finland on the significant return on investment to support these students going on and becoming, you know, active contributing members of their community, eating more nutritious food, supporting women to go back into the workforce after having children. Like, there's so much great data out there to support why making this investment. And again, it's a collaborative approach. We're not just asking the federal government for support. We want them to match what the provinces and municipalities and territories are doing, because it's a big initiative that no one team or level of government can take on their own. We want to sort of lift everybody up and help our children and youth grow and survive, but thrive through their educational journey.
And, you know, I'm thinking about all of the, you know, the opportunity for us to not only, you know, advocate and help you, but the call to action today. What do you want people to do? How do you want people to move forward and make sure that the federal government knows this is top of mind for so many?
If people are looking for more information, please reach out to me. I'm happy to share. As mentioned, if you can reach out to your members of parliament and encourage support for getting this into the federal budget. In terms of support, so we do have an annual event coming up. Our Spark Soiree is coming up on Friday, May 3rd. And while we do represent all of the Amphi programs, it really is a breakfast for dinner theme, largely supporting our school breakfast program. It's a great opportunity to come out, engage with, you know, the education sector, leaders from the 4 public school boards, our board of directors, strong support from business community. So there's opportunities for individuals or businesses who want to sponsor the event. It's a fun evening to come out and know that you're supporting an incredibly impactful cause.
May 3rd's coming quick. I remember a few years attending the event, and I remember hosting one year, and that was a lot of fun. And it's amazing what breakfast for dinner can actually taste like. It's delicious.
Absolutely. It's a great evening, and yeah, please come out and join us.
Yeah. And when you think about the year that's coming, 2024, I can't believe we're already, you know, into the first quarter and just about out of the first quarter. Talk to me a little bit about what else you need. I mean, if someone was to make a monthly donation to you, how would you use that money?
Absolutely. So we run diverse programs within the schools. So monthly donors are an incredible source of sustainable regular funding that can support Amphi overall for our greatest need or one of the myriad of programs. So that's a great way to support. We also look for volunteers. So we have a large volunteer and education program. I've talked a little bit about junior achievement and looking for individuals from the business community to come and talk to youth about the career pathways of the future. So volunteers is another significant need for us. Lots of information on our website, but please reach out to us and ask any questions that you have.
And where are we going for the website?
Amphi-rope.ca.
Fantastic. And, you've been such a strong leader. This is a role that, I've seen you develop over the last number of years, and your voice is so important, Heather. Do you ever get tired, or you're just feeling like the Energizer Bunny?
I appreciate every opportunity I have to share the message about the incredible work we're doing. I think that Amphi as an organization is not really well known across the city. A lot of people know one or more of the programs like JA, like the Breakfast Program or Ottawa Reads. So I will take any opportunity to raise awareness. I think we're a bit of a diamond in the rough, but even though we've been around for close to 40 years. So
that's amazing.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Keep up the great work, and your team as well. Appreciate it very much. Heather Norris joining us today, Ottawa Network for Education. Reach out to them if you can help, and of course that great event coming up on May the 3rd. When we come back on Ottawa Business Matters, the one, the only, Michael Curran. Stay with us. What an honor it is to have our next guest here today, Michael Curran, publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal. I know you know him, and I know him.
From way back when.
Way back when. I was 13 years old when we met. We won't do the math.
Yeah.
We won't do the math.
Okay.
Went to St. Matt's together.
Yeah, go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
You got to sneak it in every time.
But honestly, Michael, watching your career, it makes me emotional. Watching how far you've come.
Thank you.
It's incredible. I remember hearing, Michael and Mark Sutcliffe have started this newspaper, and I thought, oh my gosh, but then to see you over the last 25 years, it's incredibly inspiring.
Yeah, thank you. And it's been a team, right? So it's very nice to put a little bit of focus on me, but really I do want to insist it's a small but mighty team. People perceive Ottawa Business Journal to be a big media company. It's actually a pretty small media company with people that work really hard, and they're professionals at what they do. So. And
I think about the Carolyn Phillips, the David Sallies, the Ann Howlands. I mean, I know I'm going to miss somebody, but that's, I think about people that are working, as you said, really, really hard. Yeah. And when business news happens, we are finding out about it right away. Yeah. Right? That's the beautiful part.
Yeah, we started down that road to kind of daily, almost even hourly reporting way back in 99. And in fact, there's a little bit of a Mark Sutcliffe story there, because Mark, of course, grew up in radio. So Mark grew up in an environment where the news was updated on an hourly basis. I came on board almost 25 years ago to the day. It's coming up pretty soon, but in 1999. But the key point was the internet was just kind of taking hold at that point. And the decision was made, why don't we apply a radio news cycle approach on a website? And at that point, I mean, today it was like, update a website every hour, that's not a big deal. In 99, it was a very radical idea. It was a time when, most newspapers would just put a picture of their front page on their website. It wasn't interactive. No. It was just a picture of the front page. Right. That was it. So the concept of kind of updating a website on an almost hourly basis. And we've continued that, of course, for 25 years now.
Yeah, and there's no two ways about it. I won't sugarcoat it. The media's changed.
Yes,
we could talk about that for a day and a half.
Brutal. Yeah,
but you seem to have, and I don't like the word, but pivot. You pivoted obviously from through the pandemic, which we needed you more than ever through the pandemic, and I think that was a big piece that people may not have thought about. We needed you more than ever because things were changing so rapidly. But you've continued to pivot, as we know, when we think about Facebook and we think about all of the changes that have happened at the federal level, that has been a challenge, but you seem to always be there, which is great.
Yeah, sometimes people perceive that my role at OBJ, and this isn't true, is running the news department. Right. I don't run the news department. No. That's my passion. Yes. I went to journalism school, and my passion is reporting in journalism, but that's not what I do. What I try to do is figure out the business model behind OBJ. And we have examples, previous guests here today are perhaps an indication of how we're different, right? So we've got an events company that produces lots of great events for not only the business community but community leaders as well with the Board of Trade. That's not something that would be typical of other media companies. So what we try to do is look at how we can kind of connect with people. That's the key point, right? With the Board of Trade and BOMA and the Real Estate Board and the HRPA and just go on, BIAs, go on and on. But we then try to build a little bit of a business model on that. So the way that we're surviving and hopefully a little bit thriving is by having lots of relationships so that we've got a very kind of solid foundation.
And talking about the events piece, I mean, I think that's why I get to see you 15 times a year at least, because I'm attending these events. Coming up next week, a really important event, of course, Premier Doug Ford in Ottawa. This has really excited this business community. Talk to me a little bit about the importance of this event.
Yeah, so a little bit of behind the scenes. We've tried at working with previous Mayor Jim Watson for many years to get the Premier in town to speak with the business community. And of course, he has been here, but to speak with kind of our contingent of business people. But as soon as we put those tickets on sale, I think we sold 300 or more tickets in 30 minutes. So we knew we needed to recalibrate. So we're settling on a new venue. We anticipate there might be 600 or more people there, and I think there's a lot of interest to hear what Premier Ford has to say. Of course, he travels extensively throughout the province, but I think for our community of people that they probably haven't heard from him in a while, and a lot has changed in the provincial economy. There's lots of challenges, lots of big forces, whether it comes to auto manufacturing, green energy. So I think people really want to hear his vision for Ontario and hear what maybe what his vision for Ottawa might be. So,
and you've got that obviously, of course, and 40 under 40 is always a big hit every single year. Talk to me a little bit about the plans for this year.
Yeah, so 40 under 40, I think I'm forgetting how long it's been around. I think it's 26 years, but we're just in the nomination period. So it's kind of like a 6-month cycle where we ask people to start thinking about nominations. In January, we wrapped up in March. In April, we do the judging. In May, we try to collect all the information from the recipients, and then in June, and June 21st this year, by the way, again at the Hilton Lac Leamy, which is a perfect venue for a bunch of young, successful people who want to have fun. That's a great facility. So we're just at the end of the nomination period. People can still go to 40 under 40, so it's FORTY under 40.ca if they want to check that out. But more than just an event, and I think that's what you were alluding to, Sam. This is a way of recognizing the future generation of business leaders. And business leaders, by the way, you know this as well, but I'll restate it here. They're not only people that have had success in business. They are that. They're often experts, but really, and I've said this many times, there's about a quarter of the marks for their community involvement. So even if you're an amazing CEO of a startup and you've got a brilliant engineering background, if you're not involved in the community, this award isn't for you. So we're looking, like the Board of Trade, our partners, for a particular type of person who's invested not only in their company, but invested in this city.
And you're describing the 40 under 40, and I know you're not under 40, so let's
No,
just
I'm not.
we can just be clear on that.
Yeah.
But you were describing yourself, and I know you didn't mean to do that.
No.
But you are very community oriented. We saw each other at the Snowball recently,
that's
which was a
nice.
lot of
Good
fun
event.
that night. But you seem to have taken this job as the publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal very seriously in terms of the community side of it. Why?
Well, we're sitting here in a TV studio. I think one of the reasons would be Max Keeping. So, I grew up watching CJOH, now CTV Ottawa, and that man and other media people in this city set a standard for being involved. So it's not only about telling the good and the bad stories, but it's having a deeper commitment to the community. And, Max has a hospital wing named after him, and his impact on this city, although he passed many years ago, are still fondly remembered by many people. So I think it was a little bit of Max keeping and people like that demonstrating that if you want to be at your top of the game when you're in this type of media role, then you need to bring that level of commitment. And that's Max had that in a very sincere way. I have that in a very sincere way. I think of myself sometimes as, I don't want to be too Pollyanna about it, but like a cheerleader for Ottawa, or at least someone who's trying to bring about positive change, because it's very easy to get negative on things these days. And we could probably sit here and rhyme off half a dozen reasons to be negative on Ottawa, to be honest. But I do honestly believe the city is moving forward. Even kind of the scars, like LRT, I think with the opening of the Trillium line, I think with the extension hopefully opening up to the East End, I think people's perception, that's just an example of our city evolving in a significant way. And I'm not diminishing all the problems people had, and riders had some really horrendous experiences and that type of stuff. But I guess my point is, and it relates back to the city building event that you and Sueling were talking about, I think we're in, and this isn't my phrase, it was an MP that said this a couple years ago to me, and it really struck. We're in a golden age of development in this city that is hard to recognize because we're in it. So, the rethinking around LeBreton Flats, the rethinking of Lansdowne Park, the rethinking of our transportation system, the rebuilding of our parliament, the rebuilding of the Civic Hospital. Like, some of those things, think about this. They haven't changed for 100 years, and they're happening right now in our lifetime. So, again, as you can get negative on the city, but I think sometimes we're too in the weeds on it. And if you zoom out, you start appreciating that even though LRT's had a bad start, that's fundamentally going to change where people live in our city. It's going to create more urban density. There's some environmental impacts to that. It hopefully will re-enliven the core as those buildings take hold. But anyway, my point is, it's easy to be negative. I think if you zoom out a little bit, there's a lot of positive things happening. And we try to tell that story at OBJ.
For sure, you do a beautiful job. We have 30 seconds, which
Okay.
I'm so sad. I wish we had more time. What would you say to yourself if you could go back to grade 12, the hallways that we walked in?
Oh my.
What would you say to yourself, very quickly?
Oh, I don't know. Enjoy the moments. I think a little bit too. So I'm someone who might be guilty of working too hard. So although I have a deep appreciation for my family and that, but I would just enjoy every moment with them. So
Love that.
yeah,
Love that so
yeah,
much. Michael
yeah.
Curran, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sam, for having me.
Michael Curran, of course, joining us here on Ottawa Business Matters, not only a community leader, publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal, but also my dear friend. When we come back, we're going to meet someone that is a recipient of 40 Under 40. You won't want to miss it. Come on back, everyone. Well, I promised you a 40 Under 40 recipient, and I have delivered. Riaz Sidi is joining us now. Hi, Riaz. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good. Are you proud to be a 40 Under 40 recipient?
I am proud. I think
Yes.
it's such a distinguished honor to be recognized by the city that I call home and where I've been raised. And yeah, so it's very humbling.
That's wonderful. CDIO is your company. Tell me a little bit about your company.
All right. Well, I started as a solopreneur in my basement many years ago, 7 years at this point. And I was in digital marketing and sales for 20 years before that with Post Media and the Ottawa Citizen. I rose up the ranks there and was the national training manager in my most recent gig, if you will, at Post Media. And as I was on the road, traveling from hotel to hotel and training different companies, I was reached out by a business in Ottawa locally about their Facebook ads and their Google ads and how they were struggling. And I thought, perhaps I can take this on as I'm kind of killing time in the hotel room and see what I can do for them. And built a very small website landing page for them, built out a campaign, and their lead generation, or their opportunities to generate new business, went from 5 a month to 50 and then 500 in the course of a couple of months. So I was kind of sitting back there thinking, okay, there's something here. And of course, when you start a business and you have a success like that, you get referred. And so I was referred to a few other businesses, and it continued to grow from there. And I thought, there's something here. I got to pursue this. And I always told myself I would never be an entrepreneur because I saw how much my parents struggled as business owners. But it called me, and eventually I ultimately left my job. Within a 6-month period, I left my job, got married, bought a house, and found out we were having a baby. And then when they say taking the leap, it's like, whoa, it was a big one, right? But fortunately, it's been such a great, humbling experience to contribute to the Ottawa business community, to give back, and to help so many businesses here in Ottawa to also thrive.
And not only are you thriving, you are getting the attention of many, many people. You are one of the fastest growing companies, and this is an official from the Ottawa Business Journal. Walk me through this designation.
Yeah, so first, it's extremely humbling, right? Michael was just here. He runs the Ottawa Business Journal, and to be associated with such a distinguished honor, to be a 40 under 40 and the fastest growing company from where I started is such an honor, right? What it means to me is that we are a company that, although I grew in my basement and grew to 16 employees and counting, it put us on the map, right? It made us, in my parents, when my parents think of the guy in the basement running a business, that's not a real thing for them, right? They're of a different generation where you can't do things in the cloud and remotely, right? So it really, I think, put us on the map. It legitimized things for my parents, which you always want your parents to be proud, right?
For sure.
But I think, all kidding aside, I think really what it did for us, it allowed us to, attract more talent, help new clients to grow their businesses. So it opened a lot of doors for us, and it's just an honor that I'm still reeling from the effects of it. And to be named to Ottawa's fastest growing companies for the 3rd year in a row, it's just it's a testament to how hard the team has worked to make it happen.
And we often talk about being a member of the Ottawa Board of Trade and what that means, and the advocacy work that's being done, all those great networking events, that business to business opportunity. How key has it been for you to be a member of the Ottawa Board of Trade and really feel that connection?
It's monumental, right? The work that Sueling and her team are doing, it's really helping to grow Ottawa's brand across the country. It's allowing us to focus on initiatives that are so important to myself as someone who was raised here, including revitalizing downtown, engaging young leaders. I'm pointing to myself because I don't know how long I'm going to be young for, but engaging young leaders. And I think it's really setting the tone for what Ottawa can become, which I believe is a thriving business community. We're not known as a business community. We're known as a government town. And although we're proud of that, there are so many opportunities in the private sector. And I think stories like mine and others of guests that have been featured on the show, it's giving an opportunity for us to rebrand Ottawa as a destination for big business and for small business, right? So I think the work that Sueling is doing, the Ottawa Board of Trade is doing, and I'm on the board now, which is such an honor, and it allows me to have an impact too, right? So the Ottawa Board of Trade is really bringing a lot to the city, and I'm just humbled to be a part of it.
And young people watching right now that maybe dream of being a recipient of the 40 under 40, dream about taking that business that they've started in their parents' basement, words of encouragement for them.
Absolutely. Well, dream big. I had a vision board, right? I was a 40 under 40 somewhere deep in my mind before it actually happened, right? Someone has to win, so why not you, right? And those are the types of things that I would tell myself, that you can make it happen because someone has to make it happen. And to the advice that I would give to a potential 40 under 40 would be to become very strong in your craft, to give to others, put others first, because when others win, then you win.
Yeah, it's so wonderful. Very wise words, by the way, in terms of business. How do you sort of see yourself from a community lens? We talk a lot on this show about the events that the Ottawa Board of Trade has, connecting to those events. But how do you see yourself from a community lens?
From a community lens, I see the role that I can play as being one where we are engaging younger leaders more, investing in business, recognizing opportunities. We are committed to helping with downtown in terms of reducing youth homelessness. We support charities that support youth homelessness in downtown. We're also looking at ways to engage entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs. For me, many on my team are quite young. We have someone on our team that's an employee. He's 16 years old. He did a co-op placement with us, and he's just phenomenal. So, we brought him on, right? So I think actions do more than words. And for me, what I can do in the community is walk the talk instead of just talking the talk.
And why do you think, if there's either a startup or maybe it's a business somewhere else, why is Ottawa a good place to do business?
I think Ottawa is a great place to do business because there are so many opportunities. And what I mean by that is during COVID, when the world shut down, so many people have moved here from Toronto, Montreal, and we're hearing stories about, Ottawa becoming the next metropolitan for commerce, right? And I think Ottawa is a great place to do business because it's ripe, right? There's so much talent here. There are success stories here already of businesses that have flourished. And I think that, we have a huge opportunity here ahead of us as we play it the right way, right? And I think it's really just about banging that drum as loud as we can and saying, hey, we're here and come join us on this mission to make Ottawa a great place.
And I know how inspiring it is to become a member of the Ottawa Board of Trade and meet lots of different people. What would you say to somebody joining the Ottawa Board of Trade and having the experiences that you've had?
The Ottawa Board of Trade is supporting businesses of all size in this community, right? And it's important that you have a voice and participate in that. The Ottawa Board of Trade cares about every business in Ottawa. And for me, I looked at myself in the mirror and said, I'm going to raise my hand, I'm going to participate, and I'm going to see what I can do. Because the Ottawa Board of Trade is only going to be as successful as the members and the board and the team working cohesively with the Ottawa business community and our partners to make it that success, right? So I asked myself, what I can do to bring value to our community. And, outside of that, there are so many great benefits to being a member, not just having that voice, but there are so many others as well.
And you mentioned the great talent here. I think that's another big part of this is, we heard about all the 40 under 40 recipients that they've got not only that great talent, but that business acumen that they're wanting to be part of the community. When you're hiring talent, do you look for that combination?
Absolutely. So for me, I'm looking for passionate, hardworking, trustworthy people who have great, strong skills. And what I can say is that in Ottawa, it's not hard to find that, right? Some of our clients include the post-secondary institutions here, Algonquin, Carleton, St. Paul's, and even OCDSB as well on the elementary side. And the talent that's coming out of these institutions is phenomenal, right? It's up to businesses like mine and others in Ottawa to keep that talent in Ottawa, right? And make Ottawa a fun, vibrant destination with a strong nightlife to keep them here, right? I kind of always joke, we don't want people just to fall in love with Ottawa. We want people to fall in love in Ottawa. Because when people fall in love in Ottawa, then we can have more people come here, stay here, and build strong, vibrant lives for themselves.
Can I steal that? Because I love that.
Absolutely.
I love that so much. And we're just wrapping up. I wish I had more time, always, because I've got so much to talk about. I love this city just like you do. When you think about all of the different opportunities in this city, and whether we're talking about Canada, Orleans, Gloucester, we're talking about sort of those old municipalities, if you will, business is being done in every single corner. Do you think that gets overshadowed sometimes? People don't realize about the thriving businesses in all the different corners of the city?
Certainly. I mean, business is happening all over the city. I think that there is a focus on downtown, and I think that's justified because there's such a huge opportunity, and we need people and workers to come back to downtown after COVID to make that economy grow. But that being said, I've grown a business in my basement in Orleans, and now I've moved to the Glebe so that I can help support revitalizing downtown from adjacently, right? So I would agree, Canada is strong, obviously, in the tech sector, and this whole city, there are so many amazing things happening throughout in all of the different regions. And, when we all win together, right? And that's so important.
Sure. And your website, where can we head to your website to find out all about the great work that you're doing?
Absolutely. You can check out sidi.io. It's Sidi.io, which is my last name. And you can learn all about our digital marketing programs there.
Now, I might have been on your website the other day, just preparing for our time together today, and I noticed on there that you have proud member of the Ottawa Board of Trade. Why do you have that on your website?
Well, I mean, I think, as I mentioned earlier, it's important to walk the talk, right? So, we understand the value of being affiliated with the Ottawa Board of Trade, and I think it's important for all small businesses to kind of get that on their website so that they can also shout loudly, because if we're not singing in unison and we're not winning together, as I mentioned, then what are we doing, right? So we need to be successful together.
Well, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, why doesn't every member have that on there? Because I think it's a really nice nod, not only to the work of the Ottawa Board of Trade, but it does create that community. Hey, I'm a member. Oh, I'm going to work with this company or this company. Hey, this company over here is actually a member of the Ottawa Board of Trade. I'm going to go there because I'm going to see them at events. I'm going to be able to connect with them. I thought it was brilliant.
Right, and that's social proof, right? That's one of the tenets of our marketing campaign.
Yeah.
Social proof and aligning with other brands and partners, it's what it's all about.
Riaz, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Riaz Sidi joining us today from of course, Sidi.io. I'm Samla Pratt. This is Ottawa Business Matters. Thank you to all of our guests today. Sueling, Ching, Heather, Norris, of course, the wonderful guests we've had today include Michael Curran and, of course, Riaz Sidi. Thank you so much. I hope you've gotten lots out of our show today. And remember, shop local.